I am Dr. Herbert Miller II, Senior Pastor of Metropolitan Baptist Tabernacle here in the city of Flint. I vote.
Well, all right. Good evening, and welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm your host, Paul Herring, and this evening we've got a wonderful show for you. I want to let you know that we reached out to all the candidates that qualified on the list. We sent them an email, invited them to be on the show. If you don't happen to see your candidate on Meet the Candidates, give them a call and have them reach out. The number here is 810-239-2901. That's 810-239-2901, and there's still time to be a guest. All right. Now, with that said, we have today on the show, for your approval, Casey Lester. He's running for the 8th Ward. Casey, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Paul. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm glad to be here, buddy.
So let's get right into it. I want to know what are the main things you want to get done for the 8th Ward if you win this seat.
Yeah. So I've been in my ward for I don't know, a little bit over 15 years, 13 years, somewhere in that general vicinity, and it's been wonderful, right? Like, I love living here. I think that's great. We do have a lot of opportunity. We have we have some blight that needs to be taken care of. We have some beautiful neighborhoods that unfortunately, if people have allowed to just kind of start to fall down a little bit, and we need a little bit of help getting those boosted back up. We have some of our streets are a little bit of a raceway, right? So we've got people that aren't abiding by some of the traffic laws, and I would like to see just safer streets. I'd like to see a better beautification of some of the neighborhoods, and I'd like to see a little bit more attention paid to some of our residents that are out here that need help. Those are some of the things that I really want to focus on from the start.
Well, that makes sense. I'm always surprised at how folks in Flint drive.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Passing me in the left lane, running red lights. It's just a mess.
Well, it's dangerous, right? So I've got young kids. I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old boy, and I want them to be able to ride their bikes, right? Like, I want them to be able to have the time that we had when we were growing up, and it was a little bit different. And I want all of our residents to know that, like, your kids, your grandkids can ride the bike on the sidewalk and not have to worry about somebody hopping a curb because they're texting or passing in the middle lane. And I think it's a common issue amongst all the residents when I'm knocking on doors. I'm hearing it from everybody.
It's understandable. So what about blight? Blight is a massive headache around here. How do we actually start getting these properties cleaned up?
Yeah, so the first thing is making people aware of how to report it, right? Like, a lot of people see these homes in the area. They see houses that haven't been taken care of. They see garbage all over the place. They see overgrown lawns, and they don't even know where to go. So they don't know that there's an actual blight department that you can call, get things taken care of. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but you can call, report. We have different, when I'm walking through neighborhoods handing out literature, I have a sheet that has all of the, it has QR codes for all the departments of the city, blight being one of them, that you can just scan your phone, make a phone call to the blight department, get that stuff reported. Thing that we want to do. And then the other side is make sure that we're enforcing it, right? We have to make sure that as a city, we're taking care of our residents enough to say, hey, we appreciate you taking the time to report on the issues. Now it's our turn as a city to do what we should be doing, and we're enforcing it. We're having conversations with people about code. Everybody doesn't need to be fined or hit with things. A lot of times it's just a conversation, just an education piece of, hey, your lawn needs to be mowed so it's under this length. Or one of my neighbors, they had a huge issue because there was a pool in the front yard of a house, a full pool, not like a kiddie pool, like a full 4-foot pool in the front of the house with no fence around it, nothing like that. And she was concerned of the safety of the children in the neighborhood, kids walking by, coming out of school, elementary kids, things like that. So people were concerned about that. And when she called the blight department, somebody came out, had a conversation with the resident, but didn't actually enforce anything. There was no change. The pool stayed there. So those are the things that we need to make sure we're doing, is following up with that conversation.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, how do we build a better relationship between our neighborhoods and the police department? That would help, that wouldn't it?
For sure, absolutely, and I think a more nobody wants to live in a police community, right? Like they don't want to live where every time you leave your house you're seeing officers on the street or things like that. But they want to know that there's a police presence, right? They want to be able to say that they see police enforcing traffic on the on Miller Road, Fenton Road, Atherton Road, in those areas. They want to be able to say, hey, there's people that I can call in the event that I feel unsafe in my home. So one of the other big concerns that I've had when I've knocked on doors, people have said that response times just haven't been what they were hoping for them to be. And I'd like for us to be able to figure out a way to create, whether it's task force or whether it's just a better partnership within the community organizations, because all of our neighborhoods have either a neighborhood group or a community organization, and have those conversations and have the police officers be able to show up to those things, stay informed, stay engaged within the community itself, and not just show up when somebody calls, but actually do proactive policing. And I know a lot of that comes down to budget constraints, and the Flint police don't have all of the resources that they need to be able to fight all the crime all the time. But I would like to be able to see a more collective group of individuals willing to fight the crime when it happens.
Okay, well, I mean, it seems like you feel like City Hall is operating in a black box. How are you going to keep ordinary residents in the loop on what's going on down there?
Yeah, so the three main things that people have said when I was knocking doors. So I'm out knocking on people's doors, having conversations with the voters in the area, because not only do I want to win the vote, but I want to actually succeed and do the job properly. And so in order to do that, I need to know, what are your concerns? The irony that we all think how individual we are is highlighted when you talk to 1,000 residents, and the top three things that come up from all the 1,000 are visible police presence, fighting blight, and I want an accessible representation. So I want to be able to make a phone call, send an email, have a conversation with my representative, right? Like I want to know who is the person on the other side. I want to be able to reach them. So that black box exists when we as representatives no longer reach back out to the people that have reached out to us. If phone calls are just going unresponded, unanswered, nobody's answering the text messages, the emails, any of that stuff, people don't know, and they start to get very frustrated. There needs to be a more consistent way to get the message out, whether it's through social media, whether it's through mailers, whether it's through any of that stuff. Finding which mode of conversation works the best for your constituents.
Okay, now I understand you used to be on the Flint School Board, right?
I was, yeah.
What'd you learn from that, and how do you think that's going to help you on the council?
Oh, it was a wild time. It was incredible. So I was on the school board with some of the most incredible people I've ever met. Diana Wright, Dr. Danielle Green, Blake Stroger, Betty Ramsdell, Carol McIntosh. We had an incredible board. So this was 2019, and then I became president of the school board in 2020 during the onset of COVID. So as a board, we didn't always get along, but business always got done. We were able to put aside our differences. We were able to figure out, like, collectively, our number one concern is the decision that we're making going to move our children forward in the community? Those were some of the things of every decision that we made, every conversation that we had, we were able to keep the children at the forefront of that conversation. By doing that and not focusing on, social media views or prideful politics, where we're trying to fight and argue with each other, it doesn't need to happen like that. So learning to manage all of the different personalities that go along with being on a large board like that is huge. Learning to manage large budgets. I mean, 80 to $100 million budgets. How do we make that work? How do we work through deficits? And all of those things I learned from the school board, as well as how do we take care of our people through a global pandemic, right? How do we take care of our children through a catastrophe that we've never experienced before? And how do we unite a group of people together to be able to help? It was an incredible experience.
All right, great. So now, I understand you spent 4 years as a business banker.
Yeah.
That is intriguing. That alone is intriguing to me. I think I'm going to talk to you on the side about that. But how does corporate finance help you with your
Yeah.
counsel?
So a lot of what I did in my day job previously, and still a lot of what I do right now. Right now, I manage a team of treasury professionals. Before I was a business banker. So what I did a lot of the time was look at a balance sheet, look at an income statement, work through the cash flow cycle with a business owner or with the C-suite of a business, and say, this is where you're at financially. This is where we need to move you forward. Some of those steps are, what makes the most sense? How do we lower spending here? How do we fix some of the costs here? How do we increase revenue over here? What are some things that we can do to diversify the income stream? How do we make use of those things? So that is part of my every day. So I am sitting with customers looking at finances for anything, from a $5 million company up to a $200 million company, and learning to kind of decipher what matters the most is important. So like for our city, for example, when we look at our budget and then we break it down into smaller areas, that's a lot of what we need to do, is just have that budgetary conversation and figure out what constraints we need to be operating within.
Okay, I've always said that the budget is the biggest job of the city council. That's what they should
For sure.
live and die on. If it's in the
For
budget, it's
sure.
okay. If it's not in the budget, it's not okay. So you
That's
got
right.
me 100% there. So you had a solid career. You got a solid career in banking and, of course, leadership there on the school board. What makes you want to do city council?
Yeah. So, my dad was a Kentucky Marine, right? So my dad, born in Kentucky, joined the Marine Corps, was in the service, came home from the Marine Corps, General Motors, UAW, retired. He had a solid, strong work ethic. And one of the biggest things that he said was, if you're complaining about a problem and not offering a solution, you're just, and he used a word that's probably not appropriate for your show, Paul, but you're just complaining, we'll say. And I don't want to be that person that's just sitting back and saying, hey, this is a great city. We can do great things, but these are my complaints. I want to be a part of that solution. I want to jump in there and say, hey, these are the gifts that God granted me with. I want to use them to be able to help out. We live in a fantastic community in a fantastic city, but I think we all get that same look, right? When somebody says, hey, where do you live? And you say, oh, I live in Flint. And they give you that look and they say, oh, how's your water? Or, your council meetings are crazy and all this. I want to change that perspective, right? Like, I don't want those to be the only things. Truly, I want our politics to be boring. Make our politics boring again. Like, as a child, I can't imagine my parents ever tuning into a city council meeting for entertainment, right? That's just never what it was supposed to be. And I want to get us back to that without the grandstanding, arguing, and all that. I want us to get back to a nice, easy, sleepy business getting done politics. Oh, I lost you, Paul. I think you're muted.
My bad, I muted myself. Oh, I understand that you've done some volunteer work with the Rotary Club. How is that going to affect the way you approach things on the council?
So very proud to shout out the Flint Rotary. It's been wonderful. I am now on the board for Flint Rotary, and I've been a member for, I think, 2 years or so now, maybe 2.5. The biggest thing with the Rotary is service over self, and that's something that in a community like ours, we always need to remember. We need to remember to go out and work with those around us before we're concerned about everything for our own stuff. We shouldn't be pushing our own agendas. We shouldn't be pushing our own motives. We should be working on the service heart for everybody around us. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned from Rotary, is to make sure that we're still out there focusing on the world around us instead of our own processes.
Now, if I heard you correctly, you're a lifelong Eighth Warder, or how long have you been there in the Eighth Ward?
No, so I was born in Clio. I was born, grew up in Clio, and then I moved to just on the border of the 8th Ward in 2008. And then 2013, my wife and I moved a little bit further into the 8th Ward, and we've been there ever since. So we bought the house we're in now in 2013. and have been here ever since. We have 2 young boys that we're raising here, and just no plans and no desire to be anywhere else in the world. It's perfect for us.
Well, what's the best part of the Eighth Ward that City Hall is overlooking?
Um, Truly, our communities are incredible, and I don't just mean the one that I live. I mean, as I'm knocking on doors, Paul, it is so wonderful when I'll knock on somebody's door and they come out and we start chatting. I go to the neighbor's house and then I start knocking on that door, and the first neighbor comes over and the 3 of us just start having a conversation because they know each other, they know each other's kids, they're eating together, they're playing together, they're doing all of those things that as a community we need to get back to. And I think that's something that people don't realize as much for Flint in general, is how many small pockets of communities there are. While yes, we are one big city with 9 wards inside of it, we are still so much deeper than that in the street level, in the neighborhood level, in the block level, things like that. We've had a really nice just growth of community within our city, and we're still seeing that. I was fortunate enough to be president of the neighborhood engagement hub board for a little while, and they do such a great job of helping educate the community groups in the area, just to build that type of environment around the homes that we live in. Looking at complete communities where people can, you can walk to work, you could walk to the store, you can walk to church, you can walk to school, you can do any of those things within your community, is such an important factor for what we need to get back to. And I think the Eighth Ward has a lot of that. I think we have a lot of just incredible pockets that people don't seem to notice all the time.
Okay.
It's a great question, Paul.
Well, we know City Hall's been kind of a mess, both post and pre Eric Mays, divided in ways that I guess I'm not even going to bring up here. What are your plans on, I guess, bringing a divided council together?
Yeah. So first and foremost, let me say, Eric Mays and I had a wonderful relationship. I would see Eric out in the community. We would see each other, and it was always so friendly. I'm on the DDA board right now, and he helped get me into that position, and just people can have their opinions. I will always have such a high regard for Eric as a human being. He was just, yeah, definitely miss him. The other thing, Paul, is something I learned a long time ago is I don't attend every argument I'm invited to, right? So there aren't situations where we need to be yelling and screaming at each other. I'm a passionate person. I will fight for the things that I believe in, and I will fight to make sure that things are done properly. But that doesn't mean I need to be screaming on TV and having all sorts of derogatory language to other people on council, things like that. We need to figure out that I'm not always going to be right, right? My ideas, my beliefs are mine alone. And I need to figure out how to blend those with the other people that sit around that table with me. When I was on the school board, we were all a very diverse group of individuals, and we had very diverse ideas and beliefs, but we all figured out how to make that work because none of us allowed our ego to go before the children. The same as in this situation, we can't allow our ego to go before the city. Our ego should not exist the second we walk in. Once we take these roles in city council or any elected position, you give up the right to have a bad day. It's just no longer available. You need to be able to take care of your constituents, take care of the people in your community every single day. It's not something where, the city never sleeps. It's not something where you get an opportunity to just phone it in. Everybody needs to be given their all, and they need to be given that all with respect.
Wonderful. Listen, it's been great having you on the show. I've got a couple of questions from our viewers, and I want people to stick around for that. We'll be right back after this with some community questions. Don't go away. You're watching Meet the Candidates.
Thank you, Paul.
Stand by. We're coming back. Well, all right, we're back. You guys, you're watching Meet the Candidates. I'm your host, Paul Herring, and this evening I am speaking with Casey Lester. He's running for the 8th Ward, and we're going to ask him a couple of our audience questions now. Casey, what do you think it takes to be a good person?
So, I think one of the biggest things that we need to be a good person is you need to believe in something bigger than yourself. I'm a man of faith. I'm Catholic myself. My family. I don't think that everybody has to be Catholic or has to be Christian to be a good person. I think that there's good people of all sorts, but generally what that comes from is that there is something outside of your own that you need to work and fight for, whether it's for your city, whether it's for your community. It's realizing that you should be put second in most things and everything else put first. And I think you really start to understand where other people come from if you start thinking about them first and always put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And I think that really helps people become a good person. Oh, I think you're muted, Paul. I think you're muted.
Yeah, I got buses and stuff coming by the house here, so I keep muting myself.
Yeah.
Casey, how do you know when something's fair?
That's an interesting question, and fair is such a hard thing to judge, right? Because I have 2 kids. I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and so when I look at them, I think fair is one of those silly things where it's almost like I know it's fair if you're both disappointed, right? So like, in a city like ours, we need to make sure, places like the 9th and the 8th Ward are. The treatment is the same across all of them, right? So like the 1st Ward, 2nd Ward, 3rd Ward, 8th Ward, 9th Ward, 7th Ward, we need to make sure that things are equitable. And I don't mean that we're all invited to the party. I mean, we're all at the planning table for that party. You know what I mean? Like we're not just being asked to show up, we're given a voice of how the production works. So that's what I look for fair as far as a community goes. It's a great question.
So now your last question, you can answer it verbally. You can chuckle or you can nod your head. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever laughed so hard that you peed a little?
So I really like to laugh, Paul. I'm gonna have to assume the answer is yes, right? Like I think we've probably all done it. And if not, I think if there's anybody listening right now that has never done that, I think you should make it a life goal to find something so funny and to have so much fun one day that you laugh that hard. I fully agree. Paul, I'm gonna have to say that I'm probably a solid yes on that.
Wonderful. Love your honesty. Okay, guys, it's Meet the Candidates. We were talking with Casey Lester, 8th Ward candidate. If you want to see your candidate on the show, make sure you reach out to them. Let them know they can give us a call at 810-239-2901. WFOV is always looking for music. Channel 17 is always looking for programming. And we need you too.
Radio waves, video vibes, a podcast with wild guests, and cartoons that might make your grandma do a double take.
I'm Paul, Next to 5, media producer, tech whisperer, and full-time overthinker. If it's strange, bold, thoughtful, or just plain weird, I'm probably making it. Tap, follow, subscribe, whatever your thumbs feel like doing today. Let's have some fun. And hey, if you like your content with a little extra sparkle and a lot more spectacle, interesting and even unexpected video.
So click, tap, follow, subscribe, whatever your thumbs feel like doing today. Your YouTube channel, Spectacle TV. Subscribe, binge, laugh, raise an eyebrow. It's all there waiting for you.